caring too damn much about things that don't care back. And let's be real. You know that pain. You bend. You explain. You keep showing up. You keep hoping. And still, it's never enough. You care so hard it hurts. And the wild part? You think that makes you strong. But it doesn't. It makes you fragile, exposed, breakable. Because when your peace depends on how someone else feels, or how perfectly everything goes, or whether or not you're liked, then anyone at any time can destroy you without even trying. And that's the trap nobody talks about. It's not love. It's not loyalty. It's a form of self-abandonment disguised as being a good person. Let me tell you something that might sound cold at first. Caring too much is what's been breaking you. Not because caring is wrong, but because you've been giving it to the wrong things. To people who disappear when it's inconvenient. To situations that drain you no matter how much you give. To problems that were never yours to fix in the first place. You're running yourself into the ground, trying to be the calm in someone else's storm. You're trying to keep everything from falling apart, even when you're falling apart inside. But here's the shift. When you stop caring about the things that don't feed you back, not in a bitter, shut down, numb way, but in a clear, calm, decisive way, you become unbreakable. Why? Because now your energy isn't scattered. You're not pulled in 100 directions hoping something finally clicks. You're rooted, solid, no longer performing for connection, no longer negotiating your worth, and suddenly, the things that used to mess you up, the silence, the rejection, the delay, the cold reply, the disappointment, none of it hits the same, because you're no longer trying to force meaning into places where there wasn't any to begin with. I know someone who went through this exact shift. One minute, she was chasing love that kept disappearing. The next, she stopped caring, and everything changed. And not in the way you'd expect. Because once you stop caring the way you used to, you don't just protect your peace, you reclaim your power. Let me tell you exactly how it went down. She told me this story over coffee, calm as hell, like she wasn't describing a whole personal rebirth. She used to be that girl who'd wait for hours staring at her phone, overanalyzing every text, rereading the last message like it had a hidden meaning. She gave everything, emotionally, mentally, even physically sometimes, not just in romantic stuff, everywhere. Friends, family, co-workers. She was the fixer, the pleaser, the one who always understood. And for a while, she thought that made her a good person. But underneath all that understanding was a quiet desperation to feel wanted, to be chosen, to be held onto, to feel like she mattered to someone. The problem? That kind of caring comes with a cost. You start caring so much, you can't even tell where you end and where someone else's chaos begins. You get used to being tired. You get used to being invisible unless you're giving something. You get used to swallowing your emotions just to keep the peace. And eventually, it broke her. Quietly. She didn't have some big dramatic breakdown. It wasn't a blow-up moment. It was subtle. She just stopped reaching out. Stopped chasing the same people she always tried to save. Stopped trying to make everyone comfortable while she was dying inside. She said the silence felt terrifying at first, like she was disappearing from her own life. But what happened next? That's where everything changed. She started to realize how much energy she used to waste, just trying to keep people close who were already halfway out the door. She started seeing how many of her connections were really just emotional transactions. She started noticing how much lighter she felt, not carrying everyone else's weight all the time. And with every day that passed, she cared a little less about being seen, and a little more about being true. She stopped showing up for people who made her question her worth. She stopped explaining herself to people committed to misunderstanding her. She stopped trying to be the version of herself that everyone liked, and started being the version she actually respected. And here's what hit me hardest about what she said. I didn't become cold. I just became unavailable to the bullshit. Damn. She didn't build walls. She built standards. And once she stopped caring the way she used to, she didn't fall apart. She didn't lose people that mattered. She didn't become heartless. She just became free. Free from constantly trying to be understood. Free from the pressure to fix things she didn't break. Free from bending until she disappeared. And now, You can't mess with her energy. You can't guilt her into staying. You can't bait her into arguments. You can't shake her because she's not playing the game anymore. She's peaceful now, and not the fake kind, the earned kind. Here's what nobody warns you about. When you stop caring so much, you don't just protect your peace. You meet yourself for the first time in years. Because all that energy you use to pour into people, the worrying, the wondering, the overthinking, all of that gets rerouted right back to you. And suddenly there's space. Real space, mental space, emotional space. Space you didn't even realize was missing because you'd filled every corner of your mind with thoughts of someone else. You start having conversations with yourself again, not the anxious ones, not the why did they do that loops, but real, honest moments like, what do I actually want? What am I holding on to that's not mine? What have I been putting off because I was too busy people-pleasing? That space is where the reconstruction starts. At first, it's awkward. You feel restless, like your brain is waiting for something to react to. You're used to chaos, used to crisis, used to defining your day by how other people act or don't act. But then, the silence starts to feel clean. You notice you're not as reactive anymore. You notice your boundaries go up naturally, without guilt. You stop second-guessing your feelings just because someone else doesn't agree with them. And the best part, you stop performing. Completely. You're no longer carefully crafting your text to sound the right way. You're not editing yourself mid-sentence so people don't think you're too much. You're not scanning rooms, trying to match energy just to avoid rejection. You just show up, as you are. Fully, unapologetically, quietly strong, and people can feel it. Not everyone will like it. Some will call you distant, cold, selfish, but that's only because they were addicted to the version of you who overgave. But you're not here to overgive anymore. You're not here to be anyone's emotional sponge. You're not here to carry wounds that aren't yours. You're here to live, to breathe, to be whole. And wholeness isn't loud. It doesn't need to prove anything. It doesn't need to beg for love or chase clarity. It just exists, strong, centered, free. So, when someone pulls away now, you don't chase. When someone disappoints you, you don't spiral. When something doesn't feel aligned, you walk away, without the drama, without the pain, because your worth isn't tied to their behavior anymore, and your identity doesn't shatter just because someone else couldn't meet you where you are. That's not cold. That's healed. And once you taste that kind of clarity, that stillness, you realize something powerful. It was never about caring less. It was about caring smarter. And finally, caring for yourself first. Now, here's where it gets real. When you stop caring the way you used to, people notice. Not always in the way you expect, not with applause or respect or some deep moment of understanding. Most of the time, they notice through discomfort. Because you've changed the pattern. You're no longer predictable. You're no longer the one who always replies fast, always makes peace, always smooths things over when they mess up. You're no longer emotionally available just because they decided to show up this time. And that unsettles people, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your energy used to serve their comfort, and now it doesn't. You'll notice the shift fast. People will test the old version of you. They'll push buttons to see if you still react. They'll disappear, then come back, expecting you to still be waiting where they left you. They'll say things like, "You've changed," but not in a curious way, in a threatened way. And in that moment, you realize just how much of your past connections were built on your overgiving, on your silence, on your availability, on your willingness to bend so they wouldn't have to. But now, you're not bending, you're not begging, you're being. And that being, that quiet presence that doesn't overexplain, doesn't overapologize, doesn't overextend, it exposes everything. You start to see who actually respects you, and who just liked the version of you they could control. You start to see who checks in when you stop reaching out first, who listens when you speak with honesty instead of sugarcoating it, who stays when you're no longer emotionally entertaining them for free. It's wild how silence and self-respect are like truth serum. They show you everything, and the ones who do stay, the ones who grow with you, not against you, those are the ones who love you for who you are, not who you perform to be. That's the peace you earn by letting go, by drawing that line in the sand and saying, I'm not here to be drained. I'm not here to be used. I'm not here to prove my worth by overextending myself until I collapse. You stop overexplaining your decisions. You stop asking people how to feel. You stop negotiating your boundaries like they're up for vote. And when people realize they can no longer manipulate you through guilt, silence, or approval, they either level up or they leave. And either outcome, you win. Because the version of you who stayed stuck in the cycle of caring too much, that version wasn't built to last. That version was built in survival, built to be loved, built to keep peace. But this version, the one who chooses peace over performance, the one who chooses clarity over chaos, this version is unshakable. And after all of that, after the silence, after the pullback, after the tests and the shifting energy, something strange happens. You realize you don't miss your old self, not even a little bit. The version of you that used to care what everyone thought, gone. The version that used to spin in circles after one dry text message, gone. The version that needed constant reassurance just to feel okay, you can barely even recognize them now. And what replaces all of that isn't loud. It's not hype or fire or some big ego flex. It's just this quiet freedom. Like, you're not scared anymore. You're not scared to walk away. Not scared to disappoint someone. Not scared to let people misunderstand you. You realize you don't owe anyone an explanation for your peace. And when you reach that point, that's when life really starts shifting. You stop wasting time. You stop chasing people who were never meant to go with you. You stop pouring energy into things that don't pour back. And you stop apologizing for the way you love yourself now. It's wild how natural it starts to feel. Setting boundaries becomes second nature. Saying no doesn't need a paragraph. Pulling your energy back doesn't need to be announced. You don't need to prove your growth. You just embody it. Your silence speaks louder than your old reactions ever did. Your calm is more powerful than your old over-explaining. And your peace? That's now the standard. Not everyone gets access to you anymore. Not because you're bitter, but because not everyone knows how to handle the version of you that isn't chasing, over-caring, or constantly reaching to be enough. And you're good with that. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You just need to be centered in yourself. Because here's what you've learned, finally. When you stop caring in the way that hurts you, you don't become cold. You become clear. And from that clarity, everything else starts to align. You attract better. You move smarter. You rest deeper. You speak softer, but with more weight. You show up fully, but only where it's earned. And that's the kind of peace no one can take from you. So now you've got a choice. You can keep overthinking every little thing. Keep shrinking yourself just to be liked. Keep caring so damn much it breaks you over and over again. Or you can let that version of you rest. For real this time. Not with a quote, not with a fake boundary, but with a decision to stop giving your energy away just to feel wanted. To stop pouring into people who only show up when it benefits them. To stop tying your worth to how well you can hold everything together. Because you're done being breakable. You've outgrown the chase, outgrown the silence, outgrown the cycle of caring so much that you forget who you are. Now you move different. And if this hit something in you, if something shifted even a little, go to the comments and drop this. I don't break. Say it. Type it. Let it sit. That comment isn't for the algorithm. It's for you. It's a moment of honesty, a decision in real time. And if this is where you are now, if you're choosing peace over performance, clarity over chaos, then hit that like button, subscribe. Because this space right here, this is for people who are done breaking just to belong. We're not building louder lives. We're building stronger ones. I'll see you in the next one.